All right, good to go.
Heidi, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us for the Mindful Steps, kicking off Mindful Steps 1, Class 1. It's great to be here with all of you again. And my name is Heidi Sherwin, and I am a yoga and mindfulness educator. And I teach yoga in the Morgantown community. I also teach at the Health Sciences Building and offer trainings in yoga and mindfulness.
Thank you, Heidi. I'm Julie Brusinski-Lewis, and I am going to be presenting some science, and I'm gonna start out actually with an introduction to the course in general. So this is Mindful Steps Part 1. There's a Part 2 offering that will be happening in the kind of fall, early spring season. But what we've developed is a mindfulness-based intervention. And to give a little bit of history and background on this, Jon Kabat-Zinn created mindfulness-based interventions in the 70s to help heart patients. So the intent was always to help people cut stress. And heart patients in particular were told, go see a dietitian to change your diet, go see an exercise rehab to get your heart healthy and cut out stress. Never given any tools. So he developed this program as that method. And his book is called Full Catastrophe Living. We are not doing exactly, it's an 8-week course, and it's, I think, 90 minutes each week. It's a more intense course. We've created a mindfulness-based intervention that has that as sort of a foundation. And the full catastrophe living implies we're not trying to cut out the excitement and vivacity of your lives. We are trying to have you develop resiliency skills so that you can live your life with more resilience, more joy, and more mindfulness. These exercises include relaxation exercises that calm the body and mind, gentle yoga exercises, meditation on the breath, which we'll be doing. That's sort of the main practice we'll be starting next week, and a loving kindness meditation, which we'll be doing in a couple of weeks, that cultivates that warm heart that makes us feel connected to the world and to ourselves. The definition of mindfulness put forward by Jon Kabat-Zinn was an awareness that arises through paying attention. So you're doing this, you're in the driver's seat, right? On purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So that non-judgmental quality is probably one of the most important things. We're approaching ourselves with love, approaching the world with compassion, and using this meditation and yoga to relax ourselves and to cultivate an ability to again, be in the driver's seat, to be able to calm the storms that sometimes happen in our lives just through the whole catastrophe of life, right? So I'm going to go through, just a basic summary of the 6 weeks. This week, we'll just do an introduction to what that mindfulness quality is and what it isn't, right? We'll be doing an eating exercise, which is really wonderful, and it introduces that quality of mindfulness, which is very soft, very gentle, and very alive to the world. Next week, we'll start some of the main practices of meditation. Week 3, very important to always feel that sense of embodiment. So luckily we have Heidi here too. She's always going to be giving us exercises that get us out of our head. I mean, how many of us are really kind of heady people that overthink things, right? That's kind of why I got into mindfulness in the first place. And bring it down into our body, bring ourselves into a full embodied living. Mindful communication and compassion in week 4 will help us connect with our own self-love as well as connection with others, and some tips and tricks on strategies and communications that are just practical. Week 5, mindful resilience. Mindfulness has been shown to be very effective for pain, both mental and emotional and physical pain. So we'll be going into some of those practices. And finally, we'll revisit some of those practices, add a couple new ones, and talk about some of the ways to continue your meditation practice going forward. I'm always going to talk about a little science. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but some people really like it, and it helps remind you that these practices are effective and that these practices can help in very particular ways. This session, however, I'm going to talk a little bit about the research that's been done on some of the challenges that can happen with meditation. I want to set you guys up for success. You know, we all do. And mindfulness safety is part of our mindfulness movement lately. You know, putting this front and center and making sure that you don't start off with a misconception of what mindfulness is. So I put some of the common misconception, addressing some of these misconceptions on a slide. One is that people think they really need to concentrate hard and block out thoughts or emotions. And this can result in even more kind of anxious feelings because you feel like, oh, I'm not concentrating hard enough. Or you become surprised sometimes when you look inwards and see a lot of thoughts and emotions happening. Those were happening anyway. When you bring awareness, sometimes they are like, oh, wow, you become a little surprised. But we are really have a gentle approach that's very loving, very kind. A good meditation does not need to be thought-free. And in fact, one of the subjects, which I'll talk about some of the research I've done on meditation, and we had these long-term experts that had between 10,000 and 50,000 hours of meditation practice. So very, very rigorous exercise in this regard. But she said, you know, you are never going to block out thoughts. She and I have been doing these science museum presentations together, and someone asked, oh, I have all these thoughts going on. You never, those thoughts, you develop a friendliness towards them. So setting you up with that expectation is important. Also, some of the adverse things that can happen usually relate to people using mindfulness as a numbing agent. And I think you'll see from our personalities that, we're not, numbing ourselves with mindfulness. We are fully embracing the world and our emotional lives. One thing that sometimes comes up in the media is, mindfulness doesn't really talk that much about ethics and such, and the non-judgmental quality sometimes is misunderstood. It's not about not caring. It's about developing a way to calmly assess, ourselves and what's going on, and is this behavior helpful to myself and others or not? It's kind of more of a discernment, right, when we get off the cushion. And we're able to look at ourselves because of self-love and because of self-worth. Some people want to jump right into doing a long meditation retreat. If you get that type of meditation bug, maybe start gradually and hold yourself back a bit, because some of those long retreats are very intense. And be cautious of doing anything that doesn't have a movement component and doesn't have access to meditation teachers. That can cause imbalance. And if you are unsure of anything, please ask us. I once went to a long meditation retreat, which was, it had yoga, it had walking, it had access to teachers. So, and I built up to it gradually, but I was too shy to ask a question, and I really wish I had asked earlier. I had a song stuck in my head for a week. It was "Where the Party At?" And I'm like, the party is not here. And finally, I worked up the courage to ask the meditation instructor, and they laughed with me. They said they've had that happen too. And as soon as I laughed about it, it just kind of went away. And so sometimes just developing a more relaxed approach that, oh yeah, sometimes weird things come and go in meditation, and just having a relaxed approach that, yeah, things arise, things kind of fade on their own. So having that gentle approach. Mindfulness is not a magical bandage. It's not going to make all your problems go away. And sometimes there are sources of external stress that still need to be addressed. Mindfulness is not about being a mouse. If there are external things, standing up for yourself or standing up for people who might be harmed is very much encouraged. It's also, once I published the long-term meditating experts, because when they heard a distracting sound, including that of human suffering, they reduced their emotional response to it. And someone accused of being like Spock or something like that, and that you wouldn't have this warmth of heart. But we hadn't published the second paper that said when they did compassion meditation, they were even more emotional, even more kind. And so it's developing this flexibility of mind that sometimes, if there's an emergency situation or you're in the medical field, you have to be very clear-headed, and sometimes you have to be very warm. You are in the driver's seat. You have that control. So, even Spock liked a kitten. So also everyone is starting where they are. And so, I have a background of some trauma in my childhood. I'm not comparing myself to other people. You sometimes, might be like, oh my gosh, I was really jealous, or I lost my temper, or something like this happens. I'm supposed to be really mindful. Beware of shoulds, and understand that even as you develop mindfulness, it's a gradual process. And so mindfulness may not stop you from falling early on, but it might provide a cushion. So you might not fall as hard, or you might bounce back a little bit faster because of that non-judgmental attitude, right? So like, oh no, I really lost my temper. Like, okay, next time I'll try a little better. And then you love yourself and you go on, and then that helps you recover from stress. That helps you be in the world with more kindness and awareness. Our mission is to give you a toolbox. So that's what you're going to see over the course of weeks. Some tools might work for you, some might not. Some might work in one situation, some might work in another. We're going to connect with our body, not just be a floating head, and we're going to try to have our mission is to help you reconnect to the joy and meaning in your life and in your work. So with that, let's get into it. Do we have Laurel yet?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Yay.
And Heidi's going to go into yoga, right?
Yes, friends, we're going to, as Julie said, get right into it. Thank you, Julie, for offering such a great outline and kind of the path we're going to be taking over the next 6 weeks. And again, just to bring it around again, everything we offer, right? It's different tools that you can use. Some days the meditation is going to be the thing. Some days it's going to be your body scan or breathing, and some days it's the movement. So we're going to do a little movement now, and physical movement. I know for me, it helps me, as Julie said, instead of not like a bobblehead, I'm not just the thinking brain or this floating head, that embodiment. So being in my body. So if I've been doing a lot of work at the computer, or, sometimes I'm very, very active throughout my day. And I know many of you are too, but even when we're active throughout the day, we can still just kind of be on that, kind of robotic way of like doing the task we need, connecting to what we need to, but giving yourself time to say, hey, oh my gosh, like movement, bring it in for some nourishment, bring it in to build back some focus and concentration. If you start to notice you're getting tired, or your attention keeps kind of swaying to what you want to do, or add some movement in to release some stress and tension. And movement can happen in, a long time. You could go to a long yoga class, or go for a long hike or a run. And also movement can come in little snacks. And I love little bitty snacks. So today I'm going to teach you a 6 movement snack that you can take at any time during the day. And it involves the 6 movements of our spine. And as our spine is very mobile, we can address our needs of just adding in a quick snack of doing quick postures that allow the spine to move forward and back. Those are 2, right and left, side bending, and then to the twist, right and left as well. I'm going to be guiding you from a standing position. If you want to join me in standing, please take a moment to get up and out of your seat. If you would just like to be in your seat, you can do all of these shapes from a chair. And that's what's really great about mindfulness too. We want to be present for our own needs in the now. Sometimes we do need something a little more upregulating. Sometimes we want to sit. Sometimes we want to move a little bit more. So inherently to the 6 movements, I'm going to offer a little bit of both. We'll do a little flowing and then some postures that are more static and stilling. So you can get a flavor and a sense of how movement speaks to you, because we're all going to have our own experience, and please know that your experience is valid. Be present for you. So I'm going to step back here, come into standing if you are ready. If you want to sit, maybe readjust your seat in your chair. And real quick, let me make sure I'm spotlighted for everybody. There we go. All right. So from your position, your starting place, seated or standing, mountain pose. Mountain pose is a great starter, and it's a place where you can tone into the moment, connecting to the way things feel in the body. And for your position here, start into the floor. So notice your feet and how your feet rest into the floor. And if you're wearing shoes, you can even notice how the shoes feel around your feet. And then as the shoes rest into the floor. If you're seated, you can adapt your seat so that you can feel your feet. Maybe uncross your legs if they're crossed, scooch to the edge of your seat. If you can't quite feel your feet, I know I'm a little shorter, so I usually have to scoot to the edge. Or you could bring a stool for your feet as well. So in mountain pose, gathering that sense, tuning in to the tone of your feet and the floor. And now start to tune into the tone and quality of your legs holding you up. And then that creates a sense of fluidity up through your spine. Maybe you sense some grace and poise moving up your spine to the top of your head. Arms can rest gently by your side. Being present in this shape. We'll start with some arm movements to get into the body. As you invite a breath in, reach your arms up towards the sky, towards the ceiling above you. And as you breathe out, bring your arms down. You can move the arms a little or a lot. See what you need here. Inhale, bring your arms out and up. Exhale, bring it down. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Now that we've added some body rhythm and movement, we'll practice a flowing forward and back activity. So from here, interlace your hands and turn your palms away from you. Soften into your knees if you're standing and reach your arms out in front. Now round your upper back like you're pushing your hands away and rounding your upper back like an arching cat. Stay here for a moment to get the sensation and quality of your shape. This is our forward flexion. Now into your feet, press down, stand tall. Bring your hands to the front of your shoulders. Let your elbows soften back and lift your heart up. Again, for a moment, just notice the shape for you. Neck is long, a little back bend to the upper part of your spine. We're going to flow 4 times now. As you breathe out, bring your hands together, round your upper back, soften your knees, push your hands away. Inhale, stand tall, hands soften to your shoulders, lift the chest up, look up. Exhale, reach away. Inhale, open up. Chest widens as you lift up through your gaze. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. One more round. Exhale. Inhale. And now find a little bit of neutral. Relax your arms and shoulders. In neutral, maybe you start to get a sense of a little more circulation, a little more energized. I notice for me, my brain feels a little more awake just by that little snack of forward and back. All right, let's add on. We have 4 more movements of the spine to do. Into our side bend. Invite your right hand to your belly. Reach up through your left arm. Lean over to your right, a little or a lot. Side bending, moving laterally through your spine. Notice the left side of the body opening a little bit more. We'll stay here for 3 more breaths. So from back and forth, fluid movement. Be steady in your shape, a little stillness of shape being breathed. Root down through your legs and feet. Come back to neutral mountain. Left arm will release. Left hand will rest to your belly. Right arm, reach it up to the ceiling above you. Lean over to your left any amount. And right away, notice how the right side of the body gets a little more space. As you stay in the shape, you can refine it a little bit, but be present. These last 2 breaths, how do they feel within your experience? Land into your legs and feet. Come back to neutral mountain. Release down through your right arm, both arms by your side. Mindful movement. Be present for how your body's feeling. Last 2 movements. Right twist, left twist. We'll take the twist to the right first. Step your right foot just a little bit forward. If you're in a chair, legs can stay neutral. And now left hand will rest to your belly again. Right arm, sneak it behind your back. So rest it to the lower back or maybe to the lower part of the hips. As you press into your feet, start to turn to the right. The hips, the trunk of the body, chest, shoulders, maybe even your gaze will go along for the ride. Be gentle with it. Let the shape do the work for you. Maybe send your gaze, do a little eye yoga, send your gaze up towards the corner of the room. And now release your twist. Unwind. Now you'll take your left foot, step it forward. Right hand can rest to your belly again. Left arm, back body. Press into your feet. And now turn to the left any amount. Start gradually through the rotation. See where your body wants to move and where it's yielding. Navigate your needs as you continue the journey up through your spine, rotating around. Maybe adding that shift of the gaze, looking up to the high corner of the room. And now start to unwind. Return to your neutral mountain. Land back into that toning, the energy of your feet to the earth, earth to the feet. Back in your mountain pose. 1 breath here. Sweep your arms up any amount. And as you breathe out, exhale, let it be. Notice what you notice, how the movement spoke to you. And gratitude for that little nourishment snack in your day. Thank you so much, friends. Laurel?
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you so, so much. Oh, that stretching, waking up the body wakes up the mind and the heart in such a good way. Thank you, thank you. We're going to move on to our next mindfulness practice. And our next mindfulness practice is with a piece of food. If you don't have food handy, something to drink, water. Julie says we can do this with water. We can do this with a beverage, whatever that beverage is, or a small piece of food. So a small piece of an apple, an orange. I have a raisin. Whatever you have, that's just a little nugget of something. And so in this mindfulness practice, we just did some breathing with Heidi. So usually before the first bite of food, mindful eating, I would say, and let's do it again. Why not? Let's take a nice inhalation, filling up the belly, the lungs, and hold it a bit, and then let it go with a sigh or just out your nostrils. Just let it go. And how about one more cleansing breath? So at your pace, take a nice deep breath in, filling belly, lungs. Hold a bit, and then letting it go, letting it go, letting it go. So we're kind of getting into a inward state. We're turning inward, interoception. So we're going to look at this piece now in your hand. So I'm looking at my raisin. And we're going to engage all of our senses. This may seem a little silly at first, but it's mindfully eating. And so we're going to engage all of our senses. So let's engage our eyes. Let's look at this. I'm going to say to myself this, and I'm going to kind of pretend I don't know what this is. Kind of pretend what your piece of food is, like you're looking at it for the first time with this curiosity of a child. Like, oh, look at this. Oh, what's this? So my thing, I'm not even going to put a word to it. My thing is wrinkly. And I'm going to try not to have a label of dislike or like to it. I'm going to leave it neutral, because sometimes if I look at something wrinkly and all dried up, I might go, ooh. But I'm just going to keep this open curiosity of it's wrinkled, it's dark, not try to make a story about it, right? And it doesn't weigh very much. And now I'm going to use my nose. I'm going to smell. Does it have a smell to it? And I can smell some sweetness. And if there's no smell to what you're smelling. So we're going to do that. And then now, whatever your piece is, it could be a piece of sandwich. So you might not want to pick it up and mush it between your fingers for a sound. But if it's something you can put between your fingers and put to your ear to engage the sense of hearing, I'm going to do that. And I hear a crinkly, mushy sound. Again, if you have water or a sandwich that you can't squish, then you can't listen to it. So that just come back to your next sense, which, well, you're feeling it with your hand and the weight. So we've done the touch, and we've done the sensations of sight, sound, and hearing. So now we're going to just notice what it's like to put it before your mouth. Just notice your body getting ready. It already starts to salivate. Your body already knows there's food coming. And so just notice that, how that, we're bringing awareness to an automatic response that we don't hardly ever pay attention to. So now put this piece of food or liquid in your mouth and don't chew it. Just let it reside there. Maybe rolling it around, noticing different flavors now. Of course, different parts of your tongue will have different flavors. So notice if it's sweet or tart or bitter. And again, just keeping an open mind about it and noticing your desire to chew. But just kind of sensing that. Now, slowly start to chew. Notice the first bite. How is that first bite? What is the sensation? What is the flavor? What's going on? Notice the sensation to swallow, but don't swallow yet. Just chew it a little bit more, or hold the liquid in your mouth just a little bit longer. And then now start to swallow. And then just notice that process also, kind of going down your throat. Just being aware and breathing. Notice if you're holding your breath in any way during this process. Take a nice deep breath again, and keep that cycle of breath going. And then now ignite your gratitude for where this food or liquid came from. This raisin, I'm imagining, was a grape. It was picked off a tree by workers. It was sent to a factory. It was dried. It was sent on a truck to the grocery store. And just kind of giving thanks for where this came from. Thank you. Thank you all who made this possible for me to have this food and to nourish my body. This is nourishing. And I encourage you for your next meal to just bring some of your awareness and senses to it, slow down a little bit, not quite as slow as we did today, but slowing down, noticing when you're holding the bite up to your lips, the food or the liquid, am I hungry? Is this out of hunger? Or what am I feeling with this food right now? It could be emotional eating, or I'm hungry. Just awareness and kindness, no judging. Oh, it is what it is. Oh, I noticed that. Okay, that's wonderful. So then I encourage you to do this until next week, and we'll check in with you and see how it was for you. So now, thank you very, very much. We're going to move to Heidi for meditation primer. How to sit for meditation, the various options.
Thank you, Laurel. I forgot my little snack in the other room, so I did use water. It was interesting to do that with a drink. And I mean, with the sound, I ended up, well, what am I holding? And I tapped the mug, right? Because it's like, what am I holding? And I'm drinking. So thank you for that. All right. So we did some movement earlier. Now for meditation postures, and these are great when coming and doing anything guided. Like Julie and Laurel will be guiding us in a little bit with meditation, or for yourself when you want a moment to sit mindfully or be present for yourself, whether that's just staring to look out the window, or doing your own practice that you may have a relationship with. So some qualities to coming into a comfortable meditation posture is, one, what's your base? Where are you going to be seated? So I'm in a chair right now, and my chair, I have a pillow right behind it. I also enjoy in chairs, as I shared earlier, having something for my feet. So that could be, stacked books. It could be pillows or a stool. And I have some yoga blocks, so I'm going to be placing those there. If you're seated on the floor, if your base, what is your base? If you're seated on the floor, maybe a cushion on the floor, a little blanket. I have, yoga bolsters or, meditation cushions that are great. And what the support on the floor does is when we're seated on the floor, it lifts our hips so that we can access a tall spine, right? Like we want to put a plant into a pot so that it can grow tall. We don't just like plop the roots on the ground because the plant will fall over. You may also find, whether this is at home or perhaps you go to a yoga class or you're in a group setting, that seated is not comfortable for any reason. I know sometimes my back hurts and I want to recline. So there's many ways that you could recline and maybe bolster up on some pillows or use a yoga bolster where you're leaning back, your back is supported, and you can still stay alert for your meditation practice. So that's really important as well. When you are choosing a posture, how can you stay present and alert and awake? You might feel, more calm or kind of tired while you're doing meditation. So your posture, keep some of that energy alive. All right. Some other things to think about. Once you find your base, how can you be stable? So from your base, within your own shape here, so your own body, how can you access a tall spine? So seated on the floor or seated in a chair, feel the roots of your seat, the feet to the floor, the hips grounding down, and then accessing some tallness without rigidity. So we want some steadiness to come up through the spine, but let it grow naturally, gently. And then once you maintain some height and poise to your spine, start to notice peripheral areas that you can soften. Maybe soften your shoulders. You might notice some of your back muscles release down as you hold yourself in your shape. Can you also notice if creating the shape caused some rigidity in your belly, tightness, tension? And where can you ease up on some of that so you can breathe comfortably through your ribs and the movement that happens naturally in your belly? And then for your hands, like what do we do with these arms and hands, right? Some people really enjoy resting them onto the legs. You could interlace your hands. If you have a desk in front of you, let your hands rest to a desk. I often like to bring a pillow in for my lap, whether I'm in a chair or on the floor. It brings the earth up a little bit more, where my shoulders and elbows feel very relaxed, and I can soften down into the back body as well. So I invite you, just a few tips of choosing, a foundation for your pose, and then setting yourself up where you feel stable, yet also some areas where you can soften. So take a moment there. Maybe if you need to readjust your seat slightly, scooch to the edge of your seat, or if a pillow behind you works well. And now once you land into this position for you, take a moment to either close your eyes or have a soft, fuzzy gaze out in front of you. And then sense how you're feeling just by being present and choosing to be here this afternoon. Taking a little care on navigating your needs. Make any little adjustments as needed. And then see how that feels for you. And I'm going to kind of open this up to Julie and Laurel so they can share kind of when they greet a meditation pose. What are some things that Julie, Laurel, you find really helpful to bring your body into a place of stable comfort so that you can be present for this a mindful activity practice?
Yeah. I'd like to mention, Heidi, when you were talking about noticing if you're holding tension, like your belly's tense, or, if you're holding tension in your shoulders, like if you're tense, just become aware of that and kind of just let that go and coming back to the breath. Yeah. That helps me, is to become aware of where I'm holding tension before I meditate. Yep. Julie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I actually will almost sit up more straight than I would want to and then relax out of it. And that almost kind of gets me into a more relaxed position. Sometimes I do like to sit on the floor on a cushion just because more of me is in contact with kind of a groundedness, especially if I'm in a very heady state. Those would be my thoughts.
Yeah.
Or my
Yeah, and I know when I first started practicing meditation years ago, that like pulling myself up a little bit taller, kind of going to an extreme in a way. And then it's like, okay, how much can I let go without collapsing completely? How much can I let go? And that feeling of like, oh, I can soften. Oh, I can breathe a little more, right? That's being present and knowing that when we're in that zone, sometimes that is our practice, right? And then of course, we can always deepen that practice, like how Laurel, transitioning to you again. How might we deepen our practice of mindfulness and meditation?
Okay, thank you, thank you. So Heidi's just preparing us now for a guided meditation, and we're going to start with a basic breath scan meditation, just starting basic, and then we will do different guided meditations throughout the 6 weeks. But this is just helping you to become familiar with your breath in your body. So if you would like, you can close your eyes. You do not have to. You can have a fuzzy gaze down. You can sit as Heidi was instructing, to sit, you know, erect, but not uncomfortably.
Mhm.
And right, Heidi?
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, she did that.
Tall, poise. I love the word poise, or grace and poise, right? Because we have poise to be present and be awake and aware to the moment. Yet also grace, which grace, like what Julie, as you were describing, like grace is like that softness that comes in to also be a container for your experience.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, thank you. Yes, yes. So again, close your eyes or a fuzzy gaze down, whichever is more comfortable, and then just listen to what I'm guiding you to do. So this is a breath scan, and let's just notice your next inhalation through your nostrils. Is that cool or warm? And your next exhalation through your nostrils. Is that cool or warm? And then just focusing on this for a few more in and out breaths, just naturally feeling the flow of your breath without holding or forcing it in any way. On the next exhalation, allowing yourself, your shoulders, your jaw, your body to let go a little more into this present moment. So we're just becoming familiar with our breath. We're not trying to alter anything in any way, just becoming aware of your basic breath as it is, not forcing or holding your breath in any way. Now, in the movement of the breath, is it most noticeable? Just ask yourself, is it most noticeable in your upper body or your lower part of the body? Where is your breath today most noticeable? Now, gently become aware, if you can, breathing through your left lung, focusing your awareness of your breath, breathing in, breathing out, focusing on your left lung. What are the sensations in this area? Now guiding your awareness over to your right lung. What do you notice as you're breathing in and out through the right lung? Now noticing if there's any difference between the two lungs. Now noticing the length of your next inhalation. Just becoming aware of the length and the length of the exhalation. Just with the curiosity of a child. What is the length? How do I notice that? And the difference between the two. I noticed maybe my inhalation was longer, or my exhalation was longer, or they were about the same. Whatever you notice is okay. Now gently bring your awareness to the naturally occurring pause after the inhalation and before the exhalation. So noticing that naturally occurring pause after the inhalation and before the exhalation. And which one has the longer pause? Maybe noticing which one has the longer pause. Now let's notice if your breathing feels shallow or deep, fast or slow. Without judgment, we're just noticing. Does your breathing feel calm or disturbed? Rhythmic or irregular? Quiet or loud? Heavy or light? Now maybe notice the texture of the breath. Is it smooth, jerky, somewhat, or uneven? And again, it's all okay. There's no judgment about any of this. It's just becoming aware and noticing. So now bringing your awareness back to your next inhalation through your nostrils and exhalation through your nostrils. And gently bringing your awareness back to your room and your feet grounded to the earth. Allowing your feet to feel grounded to the earth. And slowly opening your eyes if they're closed. And then just notice any sensations in your body, what you're feeling or thinking. And it's all okay. It's all okay. It's all spot on. I'd like to open up the remaining of our time for talking about how this has been for you today, because it's really important to know. I'd like to know if the mindful eating, what you thought, what you felt, what emotions, physically, emotionally, mentally, how was that for you? Was it uncomfortable? Was it comfortable? Was it enlightening in some areas? 'Cause a lot can happen with mindful eating and with mindful breath and movement. So there's plenty of time for sharing. We'd love to hear your voice. And some of you have been with us before, a lot of new people, which is wonderful. You can put it in the chat, of course. But yeah, so let us know, please. How was the mindful eating, the movement, the science? Any questions about the science? That was a good chunk of science. I mean, that's really a lot to think about. So please go ahead. Who's going to be the first one? Let's see. If we were in a classroom together, I'd say, hey, so-and-so, would you like to share?
And also, if you do share something, we are recording these. And if you share something that you don't want put on like the video that's put up, let us know. We can probably edit that out. So do know, like, contact us afterwards if you're like, well, I shared something heartfelt and I'm not comfortable having that, online. So just want to add that.
Yeah. Teresa said she's ready for a nap, and that's a common statement after all of this, because we become aware that our body is tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions about anything else about the program, Julie outlined everything we're going to be going through. Lauren says, yes, the same. Looking forward to checking out that book by Jon Kabat-Zinn.
That's
Full
considered like
catastrophe
the
level.
origin of mindfulness training. We've certainly adapted it, made it a lot shorter, and we've added more movement, which is also, I think, the research bears out that that's really important.
Yeah.
I appreciate these comments. Thank you for sharing. So part of mindfulness is one, being present for the task at hand, being present for your practice, being present for your needs and what's occurring, right? Paying attention on purpose. And part of that paying attention on purpose is, well, then how are the practices making you feel? And
Right.
then in the future, how might I use if I've had a positive response to that, right? How might I use that in the future? If something was awkward, weird, or didn't like it, maybe set it aside for a bit, or maybe it was just something you needed to adapt differently. Maybe the movement
Heidi?
seated, you'd like to do standing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Heidi, there was
and I just wanted to share one
felt
quick thing
awkward.
about that.
Mhm.
What's that? So, oh yeah, sorry.
Felt awkward during yoga poses, never done them before.
Yeah. So awkward. So we lean into what we're curious about if we want to, or we can set it aside. And then calm, tired, it made you more relaxed. Those are great tools then, maybe at nighttime, or when you want to start turning things off. Oh, thank goodness, I hear Laurel's voice in my head at 2 a.m. to help me to rest.
Oh boy.
So
Yeah,
let's
and I'll
see, what
share-
else is there?
I'll share with the awkwardness that I got a little, it's much hotter in my lab than it's been lately, and I got a little overheated and almost dizzy, and no shame in like grabbing a chair. Although as an instructor, I did feel a little awkward having to go to an accommodation for that, but really, I was really happy I did. So, doing what you need to do.
Yeah. Scheduled calmness in my day. I like that, Bling. Yeah.
Julie, do we want to talk about the homework and Qualtrics?
Yeah. So I do have a few more slides actually. So it always takes a while for it to respond. So first of all, just kind of people who are getting wellness points, contact Anthony if you can't attend. We do have these Qualtrics homework questions, and even if you can't attend in person, doing the Qualtrics questions and watching it asynchronously would be good. Our home practice. So we want you to enrich your lives with these practices. That Jon Kabat-Zinn one had like 45 minutes of home practice each day, where we realize most people can't accommodate that, but if you can, great. But all we're asking is short little practices. Creating a mindful space. I have a little seashell that I find just reminds me to be calm, and it's very, very peaceful, reminds me of the sea. You might want to find something that you can integrate that reminds you of mindfulness. There's online questions, as mentioned there, less testing your knowledge and more about asking you to go inward and think about some of the practices. And just to put on your radar, we are developing a badge, which would be involving Mindful Steps 1 and 2 and some additional coursework and sessions to allow you to hold space for meditation. Taking this class now and doing the homework counts towards the badge if you want to do it in the future. So just putting that on your radar. More details will be forthcoming. Our other part of our homework is, as Laurel mentioned, doing a little mindful bite each, at least maybe once a day, if you can, the first bite of the meal, or if you think about it part way and are just like, oh yeah, let me just, really take in that bite of food before I eat it. Maybe if you're at a restaurant, not like squishing your steak, by your ear or something, but, but so, something that, just brings that gentle awareness and being fully alive in your senses into the day. Also, the 6 movements of the spine is encouraged as a daily practice. That can be done really quickly, and if we have time, maybe Heidi can demonstrate how quick that can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just there are some weird things on the internet and the perceptions of mindfulness, like mindful eating gurus call for silence at the table. Where's the fun in that? I mean, no, that's that's not what we're encouraging. We're once in a while on a retreat, maybe a silent meal is great, or if you're eating by yourself anyway. But our brains are highly wired for social interaction, so we want you to be engaged. We want you to be fully alive. And also just a quick detail that, group meditation is one of the best things to help, especially when you're starting your practice, but even if you're a seasoned practitioner, that support of having others in a room and a scheduled time is so helpful. I have a session at 11:30 on Mondays, Laurel at 1:15. They're only 15 minutes, so they're a nice quick way to tap into these practices. And they're going to be thematically paired with what we're teaching in the class. So how fun is that? And then yoga, Heidi has yoga class on Tuesdays from 12:15 to 1. That's live and in person. It's free.
It's actually on it's Mondays at 5:15 and Wednesdays at 12:15.
Wow, I think I have an old one. So sorry about that.
Yeah,
so
that's all right.
Go to our wellness site, WVU Wellness and yoga, and you should find the times. We also have a YouTube channel where we have some videos as well as past sessions, and a Facebook page, Mindful Steps WV, where we also, if you look in the video section, have a lot of guided. A lot of those are from 2020 and have kind of a 2020 theme, so just to give you a heads up in that. But maybe we have time to do a really super quick, the mindful 6 movements.
Yes, let's do it. Love it, Julie. All right, so either seated, there's my clipboard, seated or standing, and we'll just run right through it. I'll take this one seated. So find a moment to get into your seated or standing mountain. And we'll go in the same pattern we did earlier. So invite your hands to interlace, reach your arms out in front. We'll flow 3 times. As you exhale, reach your arms away from you, round your upper back. And as you inhale, lift through the center of the chest, look up gently as hands soften to the shoulders. Your exhale, reach your arms away, round through your upper back, look down. Inhale, bring your hands to the front of your shoulders, soften, open. One more time. Exhale, round. We call this little cat pose. Inhale, tall and open, little cow pose. And now find neutral. Soften through your shoulders. Right hand to center of the belly. Reach up any amount with the left arm and lean to the right. Greet one breath here. Breathe it in. Stay for your exhale. Inhale, tall, and release your left hand to the belly. As you breathe in again, reach your right arm up. Side bend over to the left. And be still here for one breath. Breathe it in. Release it. And inhale back to a tall reach. Arms by your side. All right, get ready for the twist. Let's bring the right hand to the belly. Left arm can sneak behind you. If you're in a chair, maybe your hand just holds on to the back of your seat. And now start to turn a little or a lot around to the left. Moving rotation up through the body. Maybe even shift your gaze. Greet a breath. And now return to center. And we'll twist to the other side. Start to bring your left hand to your belly. Right hand can sneak behind you or hold on to your chair. Begin to turn and rotate up through the spine and send your gaze up. Eyes love to do yoga. And now return to center. One last breath together. Reach your arms up. Arms by your side. A moment to rest your hands, sense how you feel. Gratitude to this afternoon with all of you. From all of us with Mindful Steps to all of you who are watching it live now and who'll watch it later. Thank you, and be well, everyone.
Thank you, Heidi. That's a nice way to say goodbye. Until next Wednesday, till we meet again. Yeah. If there are any last questions, we're on for a few more minutes. So please, if you have any questions whatsoever, please go ahead and send them to the chat or ask us. We'll be on for a couple more minutes.